Hey, what is up, everybody? Today I'm going to be talking about SQL joins. What is the SQL join? It's one of the most common functions you'll see in SQL, and it's also a function that can get you in a lot of trouble because there's some nuances to joins that can actually cause serious problems if you don't fully understand them. And for that reason, it's good to have a really good intuition of what's going on. And so that's what this video is really trying to help out with. So we're going to start out with inner joins. Inner joins is probably the most basic kind of join. You don't need the word inner join. You can just say join. And that's what we'll do here for this example. All right, in this example, we have two tables. One has pens and the other has caretakers. The reason we may need a join in this case is we might want to know where our caretakers are going to be, as in which pen are they going to be at during the day. And for this we're going to need to match up the animal that the caretaker is taking care of with the animal that is in each certain pen. So this is an inner join, and in this case I haven't included anything strange or to trip you up. This is the most basic join. Basically, the rows are going to shift around, and then the two tables are going to come together where they match up. And now we have our final result with all the information together. It's really, really simple and really, really handy. But there's a couple of places where joins can get you into some trouble. And the first thing to know about an inner join is that inner only takes the data that has a match for each table. So you can kind of think of it like a dance, and the only people who are going to end up dancing are the people who have a partner. So you can see already that one table is longer than the other, and there aren't any duplicates. So it must be the case that there's one extra row in pens that doesn't have a match in caretakers. So when we run our join, the first thing the program is going to look for is, okay, where are the match in the corresponding tables? And you can see that the kind of young baby dragon doesn't have a match. Well, since this is an inner join, when they actually run together, that little baby dragon is going to be left out of the final result. So again, we wanted to know where our caretaker is going to be. Well, it's still going to tell us that. And since we didn't have a caretaker for the little baby dragon, we don't really care. So that's going to be left out of the result. Now, additionally, on top of the fact that certain items that don't have a match will be left out of results, there's also the fact that the join will handle duplicates by creating an additional row. And what I mean by that is that when there's two items of the same kind in the column that you're going to use to match, I'm going to call it the common column, the table that doesn't have the duplicate, or it also can have duplicates, but that's another story. But the table that's looking to match on two different matches for one of its own is going to create a duplicate row, a row that says the exact same thing as its current piece of information, but it's going to create a second one so that it has enough rows to match up with the table with two matches. So you can see that we have intern Carol. She's probably shadowing Jack today. She's also going to be with the puppy in the playground, and we want our result to reflect that. So we call our join function, and we see that this pens table sees this coming. It realized it has two matches on the puppy, and so it goes ahead and creates a duplicate row at which they can then join together on. So everything gets more tricky when you talk about duplicates in two different tables. So now in this scenario, we have two different pens with puppies in them, as well as the two different caretakers taking care of the puppies. So if we were to do a join and join the tables as they are, you might be tempted to put Jack's puppy match against the stable's puppy match and intern Carol's against the lounge. But that's clearly going to be incorrect, because we know that if the puppies are going to be in the lounge half the day and in the stables half the day, then both intern Jack and intern Carol are also going to be at the stables half the day and at the lounge half the day. Well, this is exactly the result that we're going to get with a SQL join. So we'll start the join process. First, you might notice that we have these two columns that don't match up. Just kind of adding them in there as a refresher. Without the columns in the pens column, these are going to go away because this is, again, an inner join. Now we have two tables ready to match, except, again, we need to get to the bottom of this whole duplicate situation. And again, the end result we're looking for is one that describes the situation accurately. And that's that Jack and Carol are both going to be at the stables and the lounge today. So what SQL is going to do is it's going to find the matches and it's going to make a duplicate record like it did in the previous example for each of the duplicates that exist. So in this case, they are going to need to match Jack up with both the stables and a lounge, and they're also going to need to match up in turn Carol with both the stables and a lounge. So we're going to end up with 4 puppy records on both sides before we can do the join. So what we're going to do is add the additional duplicates to the pens column, and that also gets added to the caretakers column. Now we can finally do the join, and the result actually describes the situation very well. That's exactly what we wanted, and this is the correct result. But this is where you can see problems do arise when, if you were, for example, to join on something with many, many, many duplicates, this thing can blow up very, very fast. And that's always a danger and something to be watching out for when you do joins. All right, now I'm going to get into left joins. A left join is very similar to the inner join, but it has one crucial difference. And of course, it's the word left. With a left join, you're literally looking at the screen, and what is on your left is what it's referring to as a left join. So the pens table in this case is the left in our left join. You can see in this scenario that we're back at the example where we don't have a match in the pens table corresponding to a caretaker's row. And that's our special little friend in the nursery here, Baby Dragon. So when we call the left join, what the left join is going to do is it's going to look for matches across all the different individual animals. And it's going to find that the nursery in the little Baby Dragon doesn't have a match. But because this is a left join, it will take everything on the left regardless of whether it has a match. Now, I'll say that again, everything on the left, that does not include everything on the right. So if we saw something on the right without a match, that would not be included. But because this is a left join, we're going to go ahead and take everything on the left, and include it in our final results. So now we have a result that just has a null value for caretaker for our little animal, the little Baby Dragon, but he is still going to be included in the results. Of course, like I mentioned, a left join does not feel the same affinity for the right side of the equation as it does for the left. So now in this equation, we have a row in our caretakers table with Larry the shark. But Larry the shark does not have a pen, obviously, because he's a sea animal. He does not have a pen in the pens table. And because of that, Larry the shark is going to get left out of the final equation, because in a left join, you got to be on the left to be guaranteed a spot in the results. So as we can see, we call a left join, we start looking for our matches. We see that, oh, Baby Dragon doesn't have a match, but wait, Larry the shark also doesn't have a match, but it's a left join. And because of that, Larry the shark, because he's on the right side, he's not going to be included. Now, it's important to remember that when you're actually, writing a SQL join, you're not going to have the tables in front of you actually on the left and right side. What's going to be happening is up here, if you look to the top of the screen in this equation, pens is on the left. And that's literally how SQL knows what's the left and what's the right. Pens is on the left, caretakers is on the right, and that's how it knows what you're referring to. So we get our final result. Much like the exact same before, we now have a null value for baby dragon's caretaker. All right, and so now forget everything you know about left joins, and let's talk about right joins. A right join is, honestly, it is exactly the same as a left join, but instead of the scenario before where we only guaranteed a spot for the left table, now we only guarantee a spot for the right table. And because it's the exact same process, but it just uses right instead of left, I don't think we need an animation to describe that. Outer joins. So now we have a different scenario. So we've got our tables again, and you can notice that on the bottom here we have little baby dragon in the pens column, and we have Larry in the caretakers column, and both are without a match in the other column. So what's going to happen here? This is a full outer join, and what that means is that we're going to want all results. We still want a match. We still care about a match, but if results in either table don't have a match, we still want to keep them. We still want to include them as part of our final results. So luckily in this scenario, little baby dragon and Larry are still going to be included in the final results. So SQL is going to look for matches. It's going to say, hey, we don't see any. Larry, we don't see any, but this is a full outer join. So what are we going to do? Oops, I kind of rushed that animation. What we're going to do is we're going to create full null rows. So just like in the scenario before, it's very hard to kind of animate a null, but you can see it just creates these blank rows, and that's what we're going to use for our final join. So as you can see, they come together. Now we have a null in the pens column for Larry, a null for caretaker, but we have all our animals all together. And if you want that scenario, you have to use a full outer join. So lastly, I'm going to talk about cross joins. This is something you probably won't use very much unless you have a very clever use as an analyst. I think I've seen it most likely used by DBAs and data engineers to test the capacity, test the maximum load on a system, and just say, hey, if we blew everything up, what would happen? And that's because a cross join is kind of the weird stepchild of the joins. A cross join doesn't really join. So if we were to write this, join caretakers on pens.animal, it doesn't care. It doesn't want to know about pens.animal because it's not going to match. You can see in this table we have a kitten match, we have a puppy, and we have a butterfly, and they don't match. But the cross join doesn't care whether they match at all, so we won't even include those in the statement. They just go away. And what a cross join does is it results in every single row of the pens table being matched up with every single row in the caretakers table. And I only used 2 rows in each table because this thing would blow up fast and be a giant pain to animate. So what happens here, it's going to create duplicates to match up in the caretakers table, and it's also going to create duplicates to match up in the pens table. And as you can see, everything is going to match up with everything else, whether they match or not. It doesn't matter that cat matches with cat. Cat also has to match with dog because there's both a cat and a dog in the caretakers table. Those are going to come together, and the final result is going to include both columns because, of course, both, all the columns, there is no matching column, so no column gets consolidated like we see in the other results. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I hope this made joins slightly more intuitive or maybe better intuitive. Let me know in the comments, and if you have any other videos that you would like to see, I'd love to hear about it. Let me know there as well. Thanks so much. Have a great day.